There's a major new update out of the Pacific Northwest, and this one includes a fire that grew fast enough overnight to trigger brand new evacuations right next to Mount Hood. The Grasshopper Fire made a sudden overnight run, forcing fresh evacuations in both Wasco and Clackamas counties and shutting down a major highway indefinitely. A Chelan County fire jumped by 11,000 acres in under 2 days with zero improvement in containment. And in Klamath County, a rancher's structures may have already been lost as the Wright Spring Fire keeps pushing forward. I'm going to walk you through everything new since our last update. Let's get into it. Let's start with the most urgent development of this update. The Grasshopper Fire grew rapidly overnight Monday into Tuesday, prompting fresh evacuations in both Wasco and Clackamas counties. In Wasco County, deputies worked through the night to evacuate residents in newly threatened areas, including the Sportsman's Paradise manufactured home community near Dufour. In Clackamas County, the sheriff's office ordered evacuations in a sparsely populated forested area to the south and west of the fire. Because fire lines are shifting so quickly, Wasco County is asking residents to check their address directly on the county's perimeter map to see whether they need to evacuate or prepare to. The fire has now scorched roughly 120 square miles of forest and grassland and is 20% contained, with more than 1,600 firefighters and other first responders working it. The Oregon Department of Transportation has closed a 12-mile stretch of Highway 35 between US 26 and Parkdale indefinitely to support firefighting operations. A drive that normally takes about 30 minutes is now taking more than 2 hours because of detours. Meadows also announced it's shutting down its summer operations entirely for the rest of the season, saying there's no clear timeline for when restrictions might lift. The Wright Spring Fire in Klamath County has grown to nearly 52,000 acres and remains at 0% containment, even after more than a week of firefighting. There's a new, still developing concern here. Ranch structures may have been damaged Monday on the fire's eastern flank, and officials say other structures and agricultural land could be in the fire's path today. On the positive side, crews did report a successful containment line completed on the north side of the fire near Saddle Mountain, and a dozer line has now been built along both sides of Bliss Road on the southeast flank. Structure protection crews are especially focused on the Yana Woods and Bly Mountain areas right now, working ahead of the fire to prepare and defend homes before flames arrive. This remains the fire with the highest human cost so far this season. Dozer operator Jason Ensign lost his life on this fire last week, and Klamath County's local state of emergency, along with National Guard support for evacuations and traffic control, remains in effect. The Little Giant Fire in Chelan County just had one of its worst growth stretches of the entire season. Over roughly 36 to 48 hours, the fire added about 11,000 acres, growing to a current estimated 122,400 acres, with absolutely no improvement in containment, still stuck at 2%. Warm, dry, breezy conditions drove increased fire activity across several parts of the fire Monday, especially in the Tyee Creek area, where crews worked hard to secure structures and build containment lines. The fire is now threatening roughly 2,000 structures and has destroyed at least 26, including 2 primary residences and 3 cabins in the Entiat Valley. One firefighter has reportedly been injured battling the flames, though no other injuries or fatalities have been linked to this fire. Command transferred to Pacific Northwest Incident Management Team 12 on Monday morning as the operation moves into a new phase. There's genuinely good news to report out of Spokane. The 3 Spokane complex fires, Old Trails, Autumn Lane, and Fairview, keep gaining containment. Autumn Lane is now at 73%. Old Trails at 53%, and Fairview has climbed to 31%, all up from where they stood just days ago. More than 75 miles of containment line have now been constructed across the 3 fires combined, and crews say they're actively searching for and extinguishing remaining pockets of heat near homes to prevent any further damage. A red flag warning remains in effect across much of eastern Washington, including Spokane County, so fire officials are cautioning that conditions could still shift quickly, even with this progress. Zooming out, Oregon has now burned nearly 2.3 million acres this year, an area larger than the entire state of Delaware, with more than a dozen fires still actively burning across the state. Skies east of the Cascades have been smoke-choked for weeks, and an air quality alert remains in effect for eastern Oregon and eastern Washington through at least Thursday, with some communities expected to see poor air quality until further notice. The Northwest Interagency Coordination Center is warning that all of Oregon and much of Washington remain under an active fuel and fire behavior advisory, and the risk of additional large fires starting remains high. A few more fires worth knowing about across Washington. The Sinlahekin fire near Tonasket in Okanogan County has now overtaken the Kaiser Canyon fire as the state's largest active fire, nearly 143,000 acres, 42% contained, pushing toward Palmer Mountain near the Canadian border. Kaiser Canyon itself isn't far behind at roughly 138,000 acres, with containment climbing to 62%. The Wright fire sits at 60% contained, while the Ptarmigan fire remains stuck at just 8%. Across the state, more than 20 separate wildfires are currently active. It's also worth noting why this season has been so relentless. Nationally, the U.S. remains at Preparedness Level 5, the highest tier there is, meaning firefighting resources across the country are stretched thin at the exact moment Oregon and Washington are seeing some of their worst fire activity in decades. Warm, dry, breezy conditions have kept driving fire growth all week, with red flag warnings repeatedly issued across eastern Washington, and forecasters aren't projecting meaningful relief anytime soon. We'll leave links to live incident trackers for every fire mentioned today in the description so you can check the one nearest you. If you're anywhere near Mount Hood, Wasco County, or Clackamas County right now, check your address on the county perimeter map directly. Fire lines are moving fast enough that maps from even a day ago may already be outdated. More broadly, across both states, know your evacuation level and take it seriously. Level 3 means leave immediately, no packing, no waiting. Sign up for your county's emergency alert system today, not after a fire has already started. Check road closures before you travel, especially around Mount Hood, where Highway 35 is now closed indefinitely. And check on neighbors, especially anyone elderly or without reliable transportation, before conditions turn. A major highway closed indefinitely, a ski resort shutting down for the season, and a fire in Chelan County that added 11,000 acres without gaining an inch of containment. This remains one of the most volatile stretches of the Pacific Northwest's worst fire season on record, and things can change literally overnight. We'll keep tracking every major fire and bring you the next update as new official data comes in. If this helped, subscribe and turn on notifications, and share this with anyone you know in Oregon or Washington. To every firefighter, dozer operator, and first responder on the lines right now, thank you. Stay informed, stay ready, and stay safe out there.